day 5 of the program. It's almost the weekend. We have a couple things planned for you guys. Today's stretch is the triangle pose, and that pose helps strengthen and stretch our legs, the muscles around the knee, the ankle joints, hips, shoulders, and our chest. It helps relieve stress and also improves our sense of balance. This, again, stretches our hips and spine, so I hope you have a chance to go try it out, and hopefully you'll enjoy this stretch. What's on the list for today's activity is we have a Fantasia video, Pomp and Circumstance, and that is a story that has to do with Donald and Daisy Duck, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. And then our activity for the day is a music game called Make Your Own Music. And then we'll have a Zoom call later this afternoon. So let's get started on today's instrument. As you see, I don't have one on the table because one is a huge instrument, it won't fit here. And second of all, I don't have one to show you, unfortunately. But we'll have pictures on the side of this video so you can see about this instrument. So our instrument of the day is the piano. Piano is a keyboard instrument, and it's part of the string family, but also part of the percussion family. So it's part of the string family because there's strings when you press the keys, and it's part of the percussion family because the hammer strikes the strings when you press down the keys. So it's part of two families. Back years ago, before the piano, the grand piano was invented, there were different types of keyboard instruments. One was a harpsichord, and a harpsichord, yesterday we learned about dynamics, so a harpsichord only had one dynamic, and sometimes one dynamic is not enough, and someone wanted to create a keyboard instrument that had dynamics. So the piano's full name is called pianoforte because it can play piano, but it also can play forte. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the anatomy of the piano. So a normal piano has 88 keys. So the white and black keys that you press, there's 88 keys, and that's 7 octaves. So if you remember the musical alphabet, when it goes from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that is 1 octave. And when it goes again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's a 2nd octave. So the piano, because it has 88 keys, it has 7 octaves, so 7 times that the alphabet repeats itself. Pianos use keys to move hammers that hit the strings inside, making a big and beautiful sound. Piano has 2 pedals. Larger pianos have 3. But those pedals, one of them will let a note or a key ring after the player takes his hands off, like an echo. Another one is a soft pedal, which helps the player add dynamics and play quieter. So the piano is a beautiful instrument. You probably have seen an electric keyboard. There's just different forms of a piano. So that is our instrument of the day. What we're going to do next is we're going to talk about tempos. So just like we learned about dynamics brings color to our coloring page. It brings color to the piece. Tempo, it helps us figure out the speed of the piece. So I'll explain a little bit about these. So first we have Largo. Largo means very slow. Very slow, kind of like you're taking your time and you're walking around. Maybe think of it as walking outside and you're enjoying everything you're seeing. Maybe it's like if you're walking at a zoo, you're just taking your time to look at all the animals out there. Adagio is slow. So this can be still, you're taking your time to walk, but it's not as slow. Moderato means moderately. It's like your normal walking tempo. Allegro is fast. Allegro is like you're running to that ice cream truck when you have the ice cream man come into your town. So that could be an example of that. And we have Presto, which is very fast. This is like running away from a game of tag. So I have a weekly challenge for you. So you have today, Saturday and Sunday, to think about dynamics and tempos throughout your day. So I want you to record sounds around you, and then write with dynamics or a tempo marking. So here's an example. Let's say you are playing a game of hide and seek with your family, with your siblings. You can say that we played hide and seek, and I used a pianissimo voice, which would be whispering, to my sister to hide from our brother who was chasing us with in an Allegro tempo. So you can have fun with it. You can just note that I ran presto away from my brother, or I ran presto to go to the ice cream truck. Stuff like that. It would be interesting to think about it as far as speeds and then dynamics. Like when I hear the birds outside over here, I can say that bird is being mezzo piano. He's not being very loud, but he wants to make sure that others can hear him. So do that, and on our Zoom call on Monday, you can share what you were able to find. If you're able to record or write down tempos with the dynamics in, a couple moments of the weekend. So definitely have a chance to try and think about that. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you a bow exercise. So this bow exercise is called Windshield Wipers. So you're going to need your bow for this. If you'd like, you could use, if you don't have a bow, you can use a pencil marker or something of that sort. So we want to start with our bow hold, the correct bow hold. And the point of this game is to relax your wrist and move only your wrist. We're going as a windshield wiper on a car. So we're supposed to be super relaxed and move our wrist left and right. So this helps us be flexible, and we want to have a flexible wrist when we're playing. That way we'll be able to create a smooth sound. So this is an exercise that you can do to help increase your flexibility in the wrist, or just to see how well you can do it. So if you wanted to do it with a marker, you would just go over. It won't be as heavy, but that's the one thing with the bow. If you use the bow, it'll be a little bit heavier when you move it. So make sure you're relaxing the wrist when you do that. You don't want to be tight, and then that won't be good for you. Okay? All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is our composer of the day, Johann Sebastian Bach. So Bach was born in Eisenach, Germany in 1685, a really long time ago. His father was a town musician in Eisenach. Bach came for a long line of composers, over 300 years worth of Bachs, all worked as professional musicians. In the Bach family, that's about 7 generations of Bachs that were successful musicians and composers. So at the age of 10, Johann's parents passed away. So he was raised by his older brother, who was a church organist, and Johann himself became a good organist, learning from his brother. The other day I mentioned that most composers worked for the church or royalty to make money, but Bach worked for a duke, and then he worked for a prince, and then he finally became a director of music at the St. Thomas Church and School in Leipzig, Germany. He was very busy as a director, but in his free time that he had, Bach conducted a group of musicians who liked to get together to perform at a local coffee house. He did that as often as he could. During his lifetime, people thought of Bach as just an ordinary working musician. No one really knew much about his music until 100 years after his death. Bach is now seen as one of the greatest geniuses in music history. He wrote all kinds of music for organ and other keyboard instruments. Orchestras, choirs, and concertos for many different instruments. So, over the weekend, I challenge you guys to notice different levels of sound and speeds and record that down. And next time, like I said, we do a Zoom call. You can join us and share what you were able to notice. So again, today you'll have a video to watch, and that'll be Pomp and Circumstance. We'll have a music game, which is make your own music, and then we'll have a Zoom call later this afternoon. We'll see you on Monday, and have a great weekend.